Hello, everybody. This is Sinema77, horror and cult film lover, and today we're going to talk about not a horror film, but definitely a cult film and a very erotic. Well, it was considered really erotic and really kind of taboo at the time when it came out. Nowadays, I think a lot of people just kind of look and go, "Meh." But maybe we're going to talk about today is 9.5 Weeks with Kim Basinger, Mickey Rourke. This is the original uncut version. And I remember when this movie came out, I was just a wee lad, and this was considered like pretty much this was considered pornography at the time when it first came out. And the funny thing now though is like it's so tame compared to what has been done since. But the movie is directed by Adrian Lyne, who everybody remembers directed movies like Unfaithful and what was it, Fatal Attraction, movies like that. But kind of well, you know, the movie's based on a book by Elizabeth McNeil, and the screenplay was co-written by Zalman King, who would go on to create his own erotic series of films, and his television series, The Red Shoe Diaries, which had quite a talented cast appear on each on episodes. But basically, the story is you have Kim Basinger. She plays Elizabeth, who she works in a Soho gallery, and you got John, played by Mickey Rourke, and they meet, and they get into this relationship that's pretty much is a physical relationship. It's all based on eroticism and uh, exploring each other's fantasies and kind of breaking boundaries with each other and kind of being in this really passionate affair. Not affair because they're not cheating on anybody. Elizabeth is divorced. John's alone. So, but this movie does have love scenes that people still remember to this day. They remember the one that most sticks out for a lot of people is the scene from the refrigerator where Kim Basinger, she's standing there in front of a refrigerator, and she's got like I think she's wearing one of John's shirts, and he starts like taking stuff out of the refrigerator, and he's like um like he has her like bite into a jalapeno, and he's like smearing honey on her and all this other kind of stuff. And the song I Like Bread and Butter is playing. That's one thing I will say about this movie. If nothing else, this movie really does have a fantastic soundtrack. There's a lot of good music on this. um you have songs like Slave to Love by Brian Ferry. Oh my god, there's so many songs on here. There's Annie Lennox, the Eurythmics, the sounds of the underground train, so yeah. But kind of the biggest, that's kind of the thing. Like I said, this movie nowadays, the main reason you would want to see it is if you want to see Kim Basinger nude, and that's pretty much about the only thing you'd want to watch this for. And there she is in her gorgeous glory, and of course, she shows more in the movie. She definitely shows more in the movie, but you know, um, yeah, there she does this really great kind of striptease erotic dance scene to the song "Leave Your Hat On" by Joe Cocker and stuff like that. And so yeah, I mean, pretty much watching her, that's kind of the biggest reason you'd want to watch this. Like I said, in terms of eroticism, there were a couple of scenes in here that were, pretty risque at the time. But like I said, since then, this is, you know, erotic films have pretty much really surpassed this film, and this is kind of really nothing nowadays. But still, yeah, it's a pretty good film. I mean, there's not really much of a plot, to be honest with you. It's just kind of watching these two have this, passionate love affair, and just kind of seeing it, go up, go up, go up, and everything else. And but then, kind of what they really realize is that, beyond the physical, there's not really much left to it, and and the fact that he starts, you kind of realize why, Mickey Rourke's character, you kind of realize like why he's alone, because he starts doing these things to piss her off, and he starts doing these things to you know, see how she reacts. At one point, there's, she goes into, he tells her meet him in this hotel room, and they go into this hotel room, and or she goes into this hotel room, and she's waiting for him, and she's dressed up, she looks gorgeous and sexy and ready for love, and then he comes in and he brings in a prostitute, and he starts messing with the prostitute. She gets pissed off, and she starts, you know smacking the prostitute and everything. So she runs out, and he chases after her. She goes into this club where they're watching a live sex show, and she starts making out with a guy. And so I mean, they're sitting there, they're like trying to, they're like pushing each other's buttons and stuff, and and that's a lot of it too. Is they're kind of always doing things like that. And but I guess either he's trying to see how far she's willing to open her mind, or he just has this thing, it's just his way of pushing her away or whatever. So, and then it's like one point he tells her, I'm gonna go. They're having dinner at his apartment. He tells her, don't go, stay here, and and so she's sitting there and she's watching movies and stuff like that, and and she's she gets curious, so she's looking through a couple of things. She's looking, all this other kind of stuff. Then he tells her that she was a very bad person for looking through his stuff while he was gone, and it's kind of like, dude, it's like you leave a woman alone in your apartment, or she's going to be a little bit curious. Come on, if she doesn't know anything about you, if she's kind of curious to know who you are, then sorry about that, but and so it's kind of like he doesn't really want anybody to know who he is, but then again, too, he's at the same time he's very kind of obsessed with Elizabeth, and he's obsessed with her, obsessed with her body, and he like I said, when he's not doing weird shit to provoke her, he does take, he is being very loving and attentive to her, and a giving lover and things like that. But it is kind of, a bizarre movie. But yeah, by the end of the, spoilers, I mean, the movie's called 9.5 weeks. So I mean, basically, at the end of the movie, you realize that kind of like these two, there's just no. They kind of realize like the passion is gone, and there's just not really any reason for that. It's not really anybody's fault, but kind of the passion is gone, and there's not really any reason for them to continue the relationship, and you know he's not really happy with it, she's not happy with it, and it's like it was fun while it lasted, but it was kind of time for them to move on, and they just you know but anyway, though, like I said, yeah, this movie, when it first came out, it was really risque at the time, and I even remember, I thought it was funny because I remember my mother rented it, and me and my brother Ronnie, we were really young at the time, and she told us, go outside, and so we had to go outside. We weren't allowed to even look at it. She's all like, "Let me look at it first, and if it's really bad, then." And then for a long time we weren't allowed to watch it. But the thing was, though, is as I started to grow up, I started to see Kim Basinger in Batman, and my stepmother is an alien, and she was a Bond girl, and all this other kind of stuff. And so yeah, so I mean, I was getting, like a lot of boys in the '80s, I was getting a big crush on Kim Basinger. I mean, she was Vicky Vale, for crying out loud. And so yeah, stuff like that. But yeah, kind of nowadays, that's kind of about the biggest thing. Like I said, in terms of eroticism, there are movies that have kind of really pushed the envelope farther than this has. So it's kind of weak sauce in that sense. But like I said, really nowadays, kind of like if you want to listen to a good '80s soundtrack, the movie has that, to offer. But really, kind of like really what you're watching this for, you just really want to see Kim Basinger nude, and the movie doesn't disappoint. And there's even though she doesn't really show much in that scene, the scene where she's masturbating while looking at paintings, that was kind of hot. I admit that was erotic, just. But the only bad thing I could say about this movie is like Kim Basinger. It's like, look there, she looks pretty natural there. She looks, really great and sexy and beautiful and all that stuff. But the thing is, if you watch her in the movie, she wears way too much makeup. I mean, she looks like she just, she used it like a spray can or something to get that. makeup on her. She just got too much of it on. But I mean, other than that, I mean, also too, her hair kind of looks a little messy. Here her hair looks more tame, and on the back here, her hair looks good. But kind of, you watch the movie, kind of like her hair is kind of all over the place. But I'm not complaining though. I mean, it's Kim Basinger. I mean, you know, she's beautiful. She's a goddess. Even today, I mean, the woman, she's up there, mature in age, but she still looks fantastic. So, but yeah, I would definitely say, if you do want to see Kim Basinger nude, that's kind of the biggest selling point. But if you're hoping for something that's really erotic, then yeah, you can probably do better. But still, it's worth a look. See, I would say. So, yeah, that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this. We talked about 9.5 weeks. So, if anybody took the time to watch this video, I thank you for doing it. I do appreciate it. If you like the video, please like and subscribe. This is Sinema77, horror and cult film lover. And if you love the lovely Kim Basinger as much as I do, then hopefully we'll talk later. Bye bye.